he looked at me and said, you know, you've broken your back. That I wanted to play cricket for Australia. I wanted to wear the baggy green cap. I wanted to bowl over 160 k's per hour. So maybe choose a different sport. You know, you won't be able to bowl again. Someone throws you a hard thing at life and it's trying to crush your dream, and you have to try to find that mental strength to go, nah, that's not what I've trained my brain to do. It's not going to happen. And when I do play for Australia, I'll get you 2 tickets to the first test. Been plenty of times I've been told I wasn't good enough. You know, someone saying that I was essentially cheating, which I've never done in my life, hand on heart. And I was told I was getting too old to play. Yep.
Rank those 3 verdicts. Which came closest to you accepting? Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Brett Lee, a man who needs no introduction whatsoever. Brett, thank you for doing this.
Great to see you, Armaan. And I think the last time we caught up together, we were having a hit on a golf course, which was a lot of fun.
It was. That's been occupying a lot of your time since you moved to Dubai, hasn't it?
Probably a bit too much, but I'm loving my golf now. I've moved to Dubai 13 months ago, and I've played a lot of golf. I was never a golfer, but you have recently also taken it up. But I'm obsessed by golf now.
We're both new to the sport.
We are.
And that's not the only sport I'm new to. So for context, Brett and I met for the first time a couple of months back. Prior to a talk he was doing at an event. We actually met. We happened to meet in the bathroom at the
We
event.
did.
Yeah.
We did. And I actually went out to your father. And after we had both walked out of the bathroom and just sort of said g'day to each other. And I remember going up to your father and I said, you should be very proud of your son. And he said, okay, well, what happened? I said, I was literally washing my hands, walked out of the bathroom. And as we opened the door, your son was coming in and he said, I thought you spoke very well tonight. And I asked you how old you were and you said you're 16?
16.
16 years of
17.
age.
Right.
And I said, you should be very proud of your son. So, and I mean that. You speak very well and you're way ahead of your age.
Thank you so much, Brett. I really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you. And yeah, as I was saying, I've recently picked up cricket myself. So like similar to you, golf's been occupying pretty much all of my sporting time. But prior to listening to you speak, I, in all honesty, had zero interest in cricket whatsoever.
Really?
Zero. I played it a couple times when I was younger, but I had no interest whatsoever. And after I heard you speak the first time, it was incredibly captivating. Your stories that you had growing up and building yourself up to the person you are today.
Thank you, man.
Honestly, so I've recently become a relatively avid follower of cricket myself, and obviously, while planning for this podcast and preparing, I did do plenty of research into yourself. I listened to a few other cricket podcasts, and so it's not the only sport I'm new to, and it goes both ways. You told me that you've done about 20 podcasts now. Yeah,
I ran my own podcast and had some pretty special guests on. Did it over about a 3 or 4 month period, which was exciting. And I was actually, as we walked in when we were off air, I was complimenting you on your setup here. I've got the exact same setup at home, and it's an Australian brand Rode too, and they make the best gear. So you're in very good hands here, mate.
Definitely is the best. I have the same one at home myself.
There you go.
I didn't know it was an Australian brand though.
Yeah. And are you enjoying it? You enjoying the podcasting?
I am. I'm loving it. I did take a break for quite some time, but I'm easing back into it, and I really enjoy it.
Good for you.
So I'm looking forward to this conversation. So
Me too. I've been excited about it. So let's rip in.
Let's get straight into it. So Boxing Day at the MCG, an Ashes test in progress. You were unveiled as the 67th member of the Australian Cricket Hall of Fame. I'd like you to relive that moment and walk us through how you felt and what was going on in your mind.
Yeah, well, thank you. Look, I've actually never played cricket for those accolades. And I think back to when I was 9 and my parents, they asked me what I wanted to be when I was older, and most people say at the age of 9, they want to be a fireman, they want to be a policeman, they want to be a prime minister, whatever it may be. Kids have all got that imagination going through their mind. But I remember saying to mum and dad that I wanted to play cricket for Australia. I wanted to wear the baggy green cap. I wanted to bowl over 160 k's per hour. Because back then the record was held by Jeff Thomson, who was an Australian bowler. And he bowled 160.45 k's per hour. At 9, I locked my brain into and manifested into, I'm going to get past that speed. That's what I want to do in my life. And I think back now, and my daughter's 10, and thinking, geez, I was a year younger than her, knowing exactly what I wanted to do. And I don't know whether a lot of kids have that mindset or have that drive. Now, I wasn't the best player in my family. 2 brothers, older brother Shane played for Australia, younger brother played very high level, played state cricket as well. But I was very, very hungry for it. So to fast forward back to the end of last year and to get that accolade and to get honoured into the Australian Hall of Fame, that was very special. And to me, that wasn't a trophy for my cabinet. It was a trophy for my parents to say thank you for what they've done. I know that your father, who's an absolute gentleman, he's been instrumental in your life and teaching you, the business skills that he's been taught and that he's learnt. And it's the same with my parents. They're passing on, their knowledge, but they've given up their life in order for us 3 boys to try and achieve something, which is truly, amazing.
Right, definitely. Was that something in your mind at the time? Were you, did you think back to what your parents did for you growing up 100%. And how instrumental the role they played in your career as a whole was?
Spot on. That's exactly what went through my mind when I got the phone call to say that I'm being honoured. I'm like, have you got the right number? Do you have the right player? Are you sure? Me? I went, yes, Brett, it's you. You'll be the 67th inductee. And the first thing I thought of was 6-7, and I'm not going to go there because my kids have all done it.
Yeah, please don't.
And I thought they are going to love that. I promise, I'm not going to go there. Not like some other guys doing podcasts these days are singing them out. But I thought that was quite funny. But it then shifted to, what have my parents done in order for me to achieve my dream? And this is a very special accolade that's going to go to them.
And unrelated to cricket, but following on from what you said, that most kids at your age, when you decided for yourself that you wanted to become a professional cricketer, you say most children at that age don't know what they want to do, and what their career will be and what they aspire to achieve. Would you say that's necessarily a bad thing?
No. No, it's not a bad thing. You're, 17 now?
Yes.
My son is 19, almost 20. I don't think he knows what he wants to do yet. And that's fine. You don't really even know until you're in your 30s what you want to do. Now, there are some things, and there's different ways to look at. I think from a sporting point of view, you have to know pretty early if you want to achieve the greatness in sport. And I want to make it very clear that to be successful in life, you don't have to play for your country. You might want to be the best podcaster in the world. You might want to be the best cleaner in the world. You might want to be the best driver in the world. As long as you aspire to be the best at what you do, then that to me is a champion. That to me is someone that has achieved their holy grail. So sporting-wise, because of, we're not getting any younger, they generally have to be in the sporting team at a pretty young age. So you have to know if that's a road that you're going to navigate down, that's fair enough. But business-wise, some kids, late teens, 20s and 30s, still don't know what they want to do if they want to go into the business world because, we're learning every day. I mean, I'm 49 now. I've got a fair idea what I want to do, but I still wake up each day and think, okay, well, I might pivot and do this today. I might go and try that. So the day that we stop thinking, the day that we stop learning is the day to give up, and I'm not ready to give up.
26 years before the moment you won the award and you were unveiled as the 67th member of the Australian Cricket Hall of Fame, almost to the day, you took 5 wickets on debut at the same very ground, the MCG. What do you remember of that first morning? I
remember there were nerves floating around from the whole Australian cricket team. It doesn't matter whether you play or playing in your first test or you're playing your 100th. There's always going to be nerves. Now, the way that I look at nerves are, if you're nervous, it means that it means something to you. It's special. And I don't have a problem with people getting nervous. It's how you treat those nerves. So I was never really a nervous person on the cricket field. Batting-wise, very nervous because I was rubbish at it. But bowling, it was more like opportunity. So I'm going to turn these nerves into opportunity and excitement. And it's more so the anticipation. So I was like, let's get out there and get amongst it. And, you know, you're thinking, and you mentioned correctly, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, you know, 1999, Boxing Day test, 100,000 people. I'm up against the likes of Vivis Lakshman, Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Virender Sehwag, Ajit Agarkar, just to mention a few. I mean, what a quality side, but we had a pretty decent side as well.
I'm 17 years old, around the age you were, when a doctor in Shell Harbour looked at your broken back and told you you'd never play cricket again.
Yeah.
Take me into that room. What was your first thought? And when did you decide for yourself that you were going to prove the doctor wrong?
Yeah, look, I had nothing against the doctor. And a lot of it's funny because I've got this fascination with India and I've had it my whole life. And I don't know whether you believe in past lives or whatever, but there's something pretty special about my love and passion for India. And all of my medical, like doctors, dentists growing up were all of Indian heritage, even before I was playing cricket, or at a decent level anyway. And this Indian-Australian doctor, he's an absolute gentleman, he looked at me and said, you know, you've broken your back, you have a pars defect in your lower back, L5S1 is a technical term, which is a lumbar vertebrae, number 5, and S1 is a sacral one, I think. Someone will probably call me out, so that was pronounced wrong, but anyway, L5S1. And he said that I advise you not to bowl fast again, because you're going to hurt it again. So maybe choose a different sport. You know, you won't be able to bowl again. And I, all of a sudden, because I trained my brain, so this was about 7 years into my life campaign of manifesting and teaching my brain and educating myself from a cricket point of view that I want to play cricket for Australia. I have to play for Australia. I have to bowl 160 Ks. Not because my parents were saying, enjoy life, enjoy cricket, we'll back you 100%. This is my brain and me teaching myself, saying I have to do this, I want to do it, I want it that much. So when someone said to me that you won't be doing that, I'm like, nah, that's not what I've trained my brain to do. It's not going to happen. I appreciate your guidance. I appreciate your counsel as a professional, but that won't be happening. And when I do play for Australia, I'll get you 2 tickets to the first test. And he was like, he started laughing.
Which you did, right?
Which I did. Yes. And he did not expect that. It was against India. And I said, look, I'll give you the 2 tickets, but you have to pay for your own flights. But it was fun. And that to me was the first moment of resilience that I had to have through my career, because that was the first major injury. And a lot of people could have gone too hard basket. And look, honestly, and this is great for the boys and girls that are out there listening now, and even people in their 30s and 40s, that you will have challenges in life. You're going to have ups and downs. Absolutely. No one goes through life flat out win, win, win. It doesn't happen. It's the moments that you lose. It's the moments that you have to overcome. It's the overcoming adversity, whether it's be injuries, being dropped, being told you're not good enough. But if you get this brain right and you back yourself and you're confident and you work your backside off, it's amazing what you can achieve.
What would it have taken for you to accept the verdict as being correct?
Nah. Didn't even... That's a great question. Really, really good question. In all honesty, mate, it wasn't even in my... I couldn't even process it because it wasn't even there. So I trained my brain that hard to be positive that any negative thing would just get bounced off. And looking back now at 16, 17 years of age, like your age, someone throws you a hard thing at life and is trying to crush your dream, and you have to try to find that mental strength to go, nah, that's not what I was born to do.
That doctor wasn't the last to give you a career-ending verdict. The same verdict came 3 times across your sporting career.
Yep.
Rank those 3 verdicts. Which came closest to you accepting the verdict?
Oh, look, there's been plenty of times I've been told I wasn't good enough. That was being dropped from the cricket team. The first couple of times it happens, I didn't really feel it was justified. And even looking back now, I'm going, it could have gone either way. But I felt like the odds didn't fall in my favour or the luck didn't really fall my way. That's sport. That's fair enough. There was a time that I got my action questioned, and just by an umpire thought that whether my arm was straight or not. I knew it was straight. He was seeing an arm which couldn't straighten because I snapped my elbow in half. He didn't know that. I went to a panel of 10 and they came back 10-0 in my favour, that I had no problem with my action. That could have derailed me easily. Someone saying that I was essentially cheating, which I've never done in my life, hand on heart. And then the third time was probably when I was told I was getting too old to play. We're going to go with a younger team. And that's where I went away for 22 weeks and I hit the gym that hard. And I've always been against heavy weights because I don't think heavy weights and fast bowling are needed. I love lean muscle mass. I love it's all about inertia, all about momentum, all about how I can run in quickly. And sometimes heavy weights slow you down. So I had to go totally against at an age in my life where I was told I was too old and I had to go purely cosmetic. So I had to come back looking fit and strong and change their mindset. But I wanted to do the work.
You've called playing cricket almost like acting. You said you had to be the enforcer and had to be the aggressive person. When intimidation is the job, what does it do to you off the field?
Well, intimidation on the cricket field is about me trying to upset the batsman or unrattle the batsman, get the batsman thinking about something else other than watching the ball, in order to achieve my dream or my goal is to take his wicket. Now, if that means a barrage of bounces, field placement, a couple of little words, a few sledges, nothing derogatory, of course, all above board, but it's just getting the batsman's mind, off focusing on the job that he has to do. And I had this ability just to literally go and I could switch off. So when I'm off the cricket field, I'm a totally different person. On the cricket field, I was told, and I was put into, a category from my captains that we want you to be this big, tough fast bowler, this aggressive fast bowler. I think I played different roles over my career, and at the start of my career, I was that enforcer to come in and bowl as quick as I could. They weren't worried about how many runs I leaked. They were worried about if I could get the breakthrough of the partnership. And if I did that, then they were happy. So it's also about evolving and about doing what the captain needs.
Following on from that, what's the best or worst thing a batsman ever said to you that the stump mics didn't catch?
Oh, there's been plenty. Probably some stuff I can't say on these microphones. But in all honesty, there's a couple of rules that I live by. No racial vilification, absolute no. In any, not even in sport, in life. And that's the way I've been brought up from my parents. And I thank them for that. 2, no excessive swearing, because we want to appeal to the younger generation coming through, the kids. So you don't want to be swearing on the cricket field. And look, unfortunately, sometimes you're out there, it's hot, and a few things come out and you say a few choice words and you're not proud about that. But I think people appreciate that as well, and they appreciate the fact that it's hard. You might be 46 degrees in Delhi and you've bowled for 5 days and you're exhausted. But 99 times out of 100, what you say is quite humorous. So it's literally trying to upset the batsman or the batsman trying to upset me. But not many batsmen sledge me, because the best way to get someone back from a sledge is bowl 150 Ks, bounces at them. Batsman won't say too much then.
December 2013, the MCG, once again, Piers Morgan had spent that Ashes telling anyone who'd listen that England's batsmen were scared of fast bowling. So you put in front of a couple thousand people and bowled him 6 balls. Take me to that over.
Yeah, well, this has been documented, the last 10, 12 years of when it happened. Piers Morgan was having a go at the English bowlers, saying that they were rubbish or something to that effect, and also hopped in the Australian bowlers saying that he could face them. And I was mucking around on Twitter and social media, said, okay, if you think you're a good batsman, come and face me in the nets. And I was still playing Big Bash. I was at the back end of my career. And he had texted me or tweeted me, said, yeah, I'll take you on. But then we were texting each other on our private number that the public don't see. And Piers Morgan, who's very clever with the press and I think does a great job. Not everyone agrees with him, but I think he's and I know him as a person, he's a terrific guy. But he was like going, this is getting great coverage, keep it going. And then be back on the social media going, all right, I'll face you, give us your quickest balls you got and we'll see how we go. Anyway, so long story short, we did a tea break, Boxing Day test. There was about 13 or 15,000 people at the nets at the tea break. Both dugouts or both change rooms were clear. They all came up to watch Piers Morgan bat. And he had to sign a waiver in case he got injured. And before I go into the story very quickly, like, I hated people getting injured. I want to make it very clear, I don't like people getting hurt. I don't like people seeing blood. I hate that. But unfortunately with sport, sometimes it happens. But Piers Morgan came up to me and he goes, if you go slow on me now, if you try and bowl 130 Ks, it's going to look like a setup and it won't be good for me. I said, don't worry, Piers, I'll go flat out. So I went my full run up. I came screaming in and he faced 6 balls. He got hit 4 times out of 6. He took it like hats off. He took it, and there'll be a lot of batsmen in the world that wouldn't do that at a professional level. I would not get in the nets and do that because the nets feel so intimidating. They're so enclosed. You feel claustrophobic. I may have been over the front line. Sorry, Piers, about that. But he took it like a champion, and unfortunately, he got away with 2 broken ribs. And we often text each other all the time on private messages, and he invited me out for breakfast in England during the Ashes over in the UK and said, I'm out with my mate Binger for breakfast because there's no ribs on the menu. It's very clever.
Very, very. I think it's almost undeniable that he does know how to work the press and make waves online.
Yeah. Look, it was one of those things, would I do it again? Probably not. I wouldn't do it now. But if I had the opportunity, if I put myself back in those shoes now, would I do it again? Probably not. But it was one of those things that happened, and geez, it got coverage all over the world.
I watched a sit down with Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose yesterday, and they described the West Indies nets as cutthroat. Ambrose said he went full throttle at his own teammate, even Brian Lara. Take me to the Aussie nets in the early 2000s. When Matthew Hayden or Ricky Ponting was in your net, did you ever dial it back, or were you trying to take their heads off?
No, we weren't trying to take their heads off, but we weren't holding back. We were, and the way that I would articulate this is we were trying to help our batsmen get in the best form possible. So in order for me to bowl the quickest ball that I wanted to bowl and to hit my line and length, so I used to start with an older ball first, just bowl some seam up, just get the rhythm, get my body nice and warm. I'd finish that, go on to brand new bowling. So I'd try and work on my shape and wrist position and seam position and get the ball coming out and send the ball shape away. Once I tick that, I might go to Yorkers, I might go to slower balls, but I'd always finish bowling flat out. And I bowled for an hour and a half, most training sessions, like full pace. And I'd always finish with bowling some bounces because I knew that if I got into a game under pressure and I had to bowl a bouncer, I wanted to make sure that I knew exactly the length I had to bowl because I trained for it. People will often say, but what about the batsman? Well, the way I look at it, Matthew Hayden and Ricky Ponting, and I'd always ask them first, I'll say, guys, do you mind if I bowl some bounces? And if some said, no, I don't want to do that today, that's fine. I'll wait till they get out of the nets out of respect. But Ricky Ponting go, yep, bring it on. Brand new ball. Yep, bring it on. And I'd be in there, me and Mitchell Johnson. I remember this session, it was over in England. I think it was the 2005 Ashes. And I was bowling bumper, just going bang, just ducking and weaving. And he came out, and whichever test it was, but he said that when they were bowling bounces, it just felt so slow because he'd done it over what feels like, the ball feels like it's 180 Ks in the nets. And I go back to that previous question where you feel claustrophobic, you feel like the bowler's on top of you. It's a really awkward position to be in. And if you can nail that pull shot or that hook shot in the nets under pressure with a brand new ball, And most time bowlers are over the front line as well. So they're bowling off probably 19, 20 yards, 29 yards, what it might be. That then helped his reflexes. So he went out and smashed, I think, 100 next game. So we always said that we're helping the batsman.
You played in arguably the strongest side Australia's ever fielded. Of every cricketer you played with and played against, who would you say is the best?
Ooh.
And why?
Gosh, that's it's like saying who's your favourite child. Every player I played with was special, very unique in their own way. Guys that spring to mind straight away, Adam Gilchrist. I mean, he totally wrecked it for every keeper because not only was he a tremendous keeper, he was a gun bat, and he would go out there and bat at number 7, sometimes number 8, and just smash hundreds. And then, be up the stumps to Warne, taking leg side stumpings. He's just a freak of nature. So what he did to the team and the team environment, he's a brilliant guy off the pitch, also on the pitch. Game changer. So I love the way Gilly played. I love to play with him. McGrath, I mean, just absolutely world class, just line length and bowling in tandem with him. We talk always about batsmen batting in partnerships or batting in pairs. Bowling, we also had to bowl in partnership. I had to make sure that the last ball of my over, that I didn't leak a 4, which would then put pressure on Glenn down the other end or vice versa. So to play alongside him, to watch him through his trade and through his craft was outstanding. So he's definitely a match winner and definitely someone that I love. But you'd have to say Shane Warne. I mean, Warne was just... He was... I don't want to say bigger than the game because that's not what he wanted, but he was bigger than the game. He put the bums on seats. He was the guy that people would leave the bar to come out when Shane Warne was bowling and take note and go, right, this is something special is about to happen. He had this ability to just control the narrative of the game, and that is so important. I think of Matty Hayden, I think of Ricky Ponting. I mean, how can you not name... I could name the whole team, but those 3 would be guys that I'd pick.
And it seems as though everyone who's shared a dressing room with Shane Warne has a story. What's yours?
Well, my story is quite a funny one with Shane Warne because he was always the guy that knew what was going on. He always knew that if something was about to happen or something had happened, Warne would know. And before the first test, we're trying to work out, there's a bit of press around, will it be in the paper saying Lee or Kasperwitz? Will I get my first opportunity or will Kasperwitz retain his spot? So even on Christmas night, we weren't told, so I'm going to bed. Christmas night, I'm in Melbourne, away from the family. I'm trying to sleep, not knowing that tomorrow could be the best day of my life, even though today was Christmas. Tomorrow could be the best day of my life, or it could be disappointment. It'd still be great because I'm still in the Australian 12, but I want to play. I didn't want to... I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I wanted to play. Absolutely, because that was my dream. And so as we're walking down onto the field for the warm-up, and Steve Waugh said, we'll pop down the field, we'll announce the team. And my heart's just like thinking, come on, please read my name out. And I'm really good mates with Casper. So it's part of me going, I hope Casper gets his opportunity because he's done nothing wrong. And then I'm thinking from my point of view, I hope my name gets read out because I want to go out and play in front of this massive crowd, this biggest crowd I'll ever play in front of ever. And as we're walking down the steps at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and Shane Warne's behind me, he's last out, I'm second last out. I look down, I can see Justin Langer, I see Damien Martin, I can see Greg Blewett, I can see Ricky Ponting, I see Mark Waugh, and I'm walking down and Shane Warne behind me goes, hey, guess what? I'm like, what? He goes, you're playing. I'm like, what? We haven't even reached the ground yet. He goes, you're playing. But when Tugger, Steve Waugh is his nickname, when he tells you, when he announces it, just make out that you're surprised and you don't know. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're playing. So I'm like, no way. And I walk onto the field and they reckon, the guys looked at me and I got this big smile on my face going, and they thought he knows something. Who's told him? Oh, mate, Warne. So Warne couldn't keep a secret, didn't want to keep a secret, and he let the cat out of the bag. And I eventually told Steve Waugh a couple of years later, and he says, I knew something was up. I think I knew Warne told you. But there's plenty of Shane Warne stories.
If you had to pick out, which batsman terrified you more than any other?
Well, probably the two spring to mind. Sachin Tendulkar, because obviously world class. Anyone that plays 100 tests is, in my opinion, is a god. They are superstars of this modern game cricket. He played 200 test matches for his country. But not only did he play 200 test matches, he played and scored runs in all formats of the game, whether it be test matches, 50 over format, ODIs, or T20 format. But he also carried the weight of, back then, 1.4 billion people on his shoulders in India, then around the world collectively. So when you're up against a powerhouse, when you're up against someone that, like Warne, controlled the narrative, would be able to turn the game on its head, will be able to make it not, the 1.4 billion people that are watching, not the 100,000 people at the ground, it's me versus you. He'd look you in the eyes like, game on. This is us playing backyard cricket. Those be having and watching. And so to be in that moment against him was very special. I had some great battles against him. So definitely Sachin Tendulkar. And then the other one's Brian Lara. Brian Lara was the Calypso king, the king of Trinidad, the guy that would come out and be so flamboyant. He had shots that had no right to go where they went. He'd find gaps for fun. And you'd bowl to Sachin Tendulkar. If you bowled a certain line, you get hit through that certain line. He'd work you through, and if you, like a protractor, if you look at the different angles, he'd be able to work the angles relevant to where you bowl the ball. So if you bowl the ball 3 stumps outside, off stump, he'd cut you for 4. You bowled on the stumps, hit you down the ground. Brian Lara being left-handed, but being so wristy the way he played, if you bowl the ball on middle stump, he could hit you through covers, work you backward a square, hit you down towards third man. So very, very hard to bowl to. 2 completely different players, but 2 world-class players, and I was lucky I played against both of them.
You played under both Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting.
Oh, don't ask me who's my favourite captain.
No,
I'm joking.
What's the sharpest thing either of them said to you? Something that still sticks with you to date?
I was batting with Steve Waugh. It was the Champions Trophy or something. It was 2000 in Kenya, of all places, which was a great tour. I went to the Masai Mara game park. That's another story. But I'm batting with Steve Waugh, and we were in trouble. We were in a lot of trouble, and Zahir Khan was bowling for India. It was a one-day match, and we needed to get some quick runs. And I went out, and I'm batting with Steve Waugh, and take centre, and then I go down and I pat the wicket. To this day, I still don't know why I pat the wicket. I do know, but that's my running joke, because batsmen pat the wicket, why can't bowlers pat the wicket? So I'm tapping the wicket, getting rid of all the divots. And Steve Waugh come up and he goes, if you hit the ball half as good as you have in the nets the last couple of days, this ground is nowhere near big enough for you. I said, what do you mean? He goes, if you half hit the ball with your power and your timing at the moment, you will hit this guy for 6 every day of the week. So all of a sudden, it wasn't like, get one off strike, get me down there, I'm the captain, I'll take control, I'm the batsman, you're just the bowler. Nah, he gave me that confidence. And so all of a sudden I went from being nervous, and I was nervous as a batsman, to thinking, Steve Waugh reckons I can hit this guy for 6. Bring it on. Come on, Zach, let's go. And he bowled a ball, swung in, and I went, I'm having this. I'm having all of it. And I went, and I nailed it. I got it out of the middle. I hit him over the boundary rope, over the seats, over the stand, through this this white minivan, and it went straight through the window. And Steve Waugh went down. He went, "Told you, mate." So that was the confidence that Steve Waugh would instill, and that was because people think it'd be from bowling. This is for batting, but he had confidence in his players. So that was amazing. Ricky Ponting. It was a second test at the Gabba. and I was on the verge of being dropped. And everyone knew it. There's a bit of press, written around. I was carrying an ankle injury. I wasn't at my best. And I know, hand on heart, I put my hand up and say, look, I wasn't playing my best cricket. And I was almost expecting to be dropped. And it was the second innings of the test, and I got no wickets in the first. It's West Indies, and Ricky could see that I wasn't confident. And he came up to me, he goes, what's going on? And I said, well, yeah, look, I'm just struggling a bit at the moment, not bowling well. He goes, mate, you bowl well first innings, you're a little bit unlucky. He goes, don't about luck. Get out there today, put all the crap in the back of your mind that you're thinking, don't worry about the press. It's about us now. This is us. You're playing for Australia. Look down at the emblem. I looked at it. He goes, have a good look at it. Take your baggy green cap off. Have a look at the emblem. Look what this stands for. You're here with 10 of your mates. Don't worry about them. Now, rip in. I promise you, he goes, this wicket is suited for you. If you bowl well here, you'll get a bag full of wickets. So then I've gone from being, well, not really that confident, into, hang on, my captain's backed me. I went out, I got Pfeiffer, second innings. And I remember the fifth wicket, punter just came up and gave me the biggest hug. And I was so emotionally happy. And he's just patting on the chest going, told you. I'm like, thanks, Skip. And in life, you need good leaders, strong leaders. You need leaders that can give you a kick up the backside when you need it. And you need a leader also too that can bring you up when you're not feeling 100%. Not only just sport, business as well, because sport and business are very, very similar. And it was that moment that Ricky Ponting backed me as a player and as a friend. And I'll answer the question. He's still my favourite captain to play under.
You won a World Cup in 2003. What's the one story from that tournament that never made the highlight reels?
I would muck around and joke all these years later and say, I can't remember who we played against. Oh, that's right, it was India. And I always say it amongst Indian friends, they always take the mickey out of me and say, come on, you can't say that. Look, that was a very, very special World Cup win. When you think of the 4 years of preparation that went into a World Cup, the ups and downs, the injuries I went through. We lost Shane Warne too, due to, how do I say it, extraordinary circumstances where he got sent home with, testing positive to a banned substance, which was a massive shock for all of us. So we're like, we've lost our best player. And we have to somehow gather and find a way to get back on track. But probably a story I've never told was the celebration that we had when we won the semi-final. We were so pumped that, after 1999, which my brother played in the 99 World Cup, I saw him up there, he was part of the squad and up at Lord's and he's, lifting up the trophy and, we want to do it 4 years later in 2003. And to make the World Cup final was incredible. I know the World Cup in football is happening now, and I know how it feels. It's a different sports, of course, but I know what it feels like to win a World Cup. It's very special. So the celebration we had that night after the semi-final will go down as one of the best. We had enough days off to recover. We celebrated hard. We blew out a lot of steam, and it was a reinforcement of all things, a reinforcement of how close we were as a team. And, from guys doing the worm on the bar to some of the stories that were told to, just the beautiful moments of guys getting emotional after having a couple of quiet bevies. It was very special, very special.
Deep into your international career, you could still be found behind a counter at Barclays Menswear in Sydney selling suits. How did customers react when they realized it was you that was fitting their suit for them?
I actually had to go into Barclays Menswear when I was 17. I had to go and try my suit on, my blazer on for the under-19s Australian side, which toured India in 93, 94. And I remember seeing a gentleman there called Richard Bowman, and his role was to get my size, try the jacket on, send the size from Sydney down to Melbourne. Melbourne had a menswear brand called Flair back then, which is under the Hugo Boss label, and they were the sponsor of the Australian cricket team. Then what they would do is they would send up the measurements, have the jacket made, and then 2 weeks later they'd send it back to Sydney. And I was 2 hours out of Sydney in this little sort of rural area, country town. And I had to come up and get my jacket tried on. So when I went back and got my jacket tried on, Richie Bowman said to me, have you ever thought about a job in menswear? And I'm like, not really. Anyway, so he goes, why don't you come here on Monday, we'll have a chat. And I worked from the age of 17 all through my whole career, even up until 18 months ago, to actually 14 months ago, I was still doing work with him. We're in Dubai now, and if I was back in Australia, I'd still be doing work with him because we've become really good mates out of it. But I did it because it taught me how to deal with people. It taught me about business, how to invoice, how business run, but also took my mind off cricket. And when I was 17 and I was training Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd do a little bit of stuff, bit of spare work here and there. I'd do some stuff with cricket academies or coach some kids. You do a paper run, you might do a heap of things to try and get some money for the weekend or whatever. But come Saturday morning and come cricket time, I was exhausted because in my mind I'd thought about what I have to do that week in order to get wickets on the weekend. So I was mentally exhausted. Physically, I was fine. When I started working in the menswear store and I was so focused on selling suits and shirts and ties and belts and shoes and what have you, socks, come Saturday morning, I'm like, I'm exhausted from selling suits. Great, that's done. Oh, here we go. Saturday morning, I got the whites on, the smell of the freshly cut grass, a brand new kookaburra in my hand. And I was mentally fresh, physically and mentally fresh to go out there and play cricket. So my cricket went boom through the roof. So I kept doing it throughout my whole career. So even when I was playing for Australia, come back after the 2003 World Cup, I had a gentleman come in from South Africa and he said, weren't you in Johannesburg 2 nights ago? I said, yep. So you're about 112 regular. Put the suit on him, got the sale. For me, it was like taking a wicket. Good fun.
Since you mentioned the Kookaburra Bowl, there's a newly established tradition on this podcast, which is that each guest leaves a question for the next. So my last guest, Dr. Naveen Warne, who's an educator here in Dubai, left this for you.
Okay, I'm excited. Here we go.
There's a Kookaburra Smart Ball with a chip that transmits speed and noise data to the third umpire. What do you make of it? And how do you see AI shaping the future of the cricket ball? He says that cricket has gone a step further with this than football has.
Wow. I wasn't aware of it, but I knew that there were things, prototypes around there floating around. And if it's being implemented at the moment, great. I'm all for it. I think the use of AI is so important and it's going to change and revolutionise the game, from training, from the way that we recover, from the sort of technology and the sort of tech plays that are on, that opportunity. So if you can get real-time data back to an umpire, a referee, someone upstairs. Now, big matches, absolutely, because the more data that we can get and the more real-time feedback that we can get. So it might be for the commentators to know what speed they're getting at, how much pace does the ball lose before it hits the ground, because we all know the speed gun. It might say 155, already it does now, it's probably 135. Let's say it says 140. Is that out of the hand? Is that when it hits the keeper's gloves? Is that halfway down the wicket? So it's normally done, it's just mathematical, time over distance. But it'd be good to get some technology and some stuff around, okay, so when it hits the wicket and when it hits the keeper's gloves, because we do know that when it pitches is at a certain pace, and then when it hits, they've got that technology now. But there's little bits of technology that can go into giving real-time feedback. That is great. But also to think from a training perspective, think about young kids that want to see how fast they bowl. Might be cool as well. So AI is absolutely brilliant. We should embrace it. And my advice for any young boy or girl there to want to play sport, and upskill yourself in AI as well. It's the way the world's going.
Would you say the bowler is the biggest beneficiary of a smart ball like that, or?
I reckon everyone. Bowler, batsman, the broadcasters, the networks. Yep, I think it's a tick. I'm happy with it.
You joined a band as a bass player who couldn't play a single note and ended up with a hit in India
Probably still can't.
alongside Asha Bhosle. And a few weeks ago, you picked up the guitar and played in front of me. No crowd, no reason whatsoever.
That's right.
And it was a phenomenal performance,
Thanks,
might I
man.
add. What did the bass give you that 160 kilometers an hour never did?
Another great question. We always had music in my life, and I think it's very important that if you have kids or if you by yourself, that you have some form of music. Now, whether it's you press play on your TV or on your smartphone, you listen to music, that's great. But to play an instrument is very special. So my mum played the piano growing up. My older brother played acoustic guitar, and my younger brother was classically taught on the piano. I didn't know how to do anything. And it wasn't until I was 20, I think. Then there was news about this cricket band starting, the New South Wales Players. And they had a lead singer, drummer, lead guitarist, acoustic guitarist. I went boom, boom, boom. What's left? Bass guitar. So I went and bought myself a bass guitar, and I turned up and said, your bass player's here. And within 1 week we did a gig. So I taught myself, never had a lesson. Once again, I'm laser focused. If I put my mind to something, I have to do it the best of my ability. And that's good and bad, because I can't let something go. If something that I want to get better at, I have to improve. So I did that, and then taught myself piano, taught myself acoustic guitar. And then, in 2006, had the pleasure to work with Asha Bhosle, and to think that the song that I wrote in 18 minutes went to #1 in India with an absolute superstar. Of course, it's because of her fame and her beautiful voice, and condolences once again of her passing recently. She's an absolute superstar, but to work with a legend like that is definitely a highlight of my career.
Touching on your transition and relocation to Dubai and your public support that you've expressed over the past couple of months during an incredibly difficult period of time for the region as a whole, and one that I think most people, myself included, and I imagine yourself included, never would have anticipated when moving to the country. I've lived here for 12 years. I stayed throughout. So did you. We met toward the height of the conflict. And you were consistent in your messaging, which was that days before the missiles, you said that Dubai or the UAE as a whole, is one of the safest places in the world, especially for females and certainly for kids. How did those weeks pass in your household?
Well, I mean, it was probably the unknown, like you, I guess, and like a lot of people that lived here. But I'm hearing all these things now that Dubai is back. Dubai never left, and what we all went through as a group, I think, showed about unity and strength, and showed that the wonderful support structure that we have here from our amazing government have kept us safe. And I still stand by those words. It's still one of the safest places in the world, even though what we've been through. It's actually reinforced more so about how safe this beautiful place is now. This is my home. I'm very, very patriotic. I love Australia. Australia is always my home, back over there. But at the moment, this is where I live. This is my home. My kids love it. They've integrated beautifully, and to think that my kids are hanging around with 200 different nationalities. They're learning Arabic. They feel safe. They feel protected. They have blossomed at their first year of school. They just finished up. They're on holidays now, and they're playing sport and loving it. My wife absolutely loves it here. How many other countries can you say that your kids can walk around the mall on their own and you're totally okay with it? That's what the UAE provides. And I guess I'll finish that answer by saying that, and I had the absolute honour to meet His Highness, Sheikh Mohammed, who to me was, and I've met some pretty amazing people in my life, including the Queen, and that was literally right up there. That was such an honour to meet His Highness, and I just said to him, thank you so much for keeping us safe. And I now know that when you look at other countries, they plan 2 years ahead. internally. There's a lot of conjecture and fighting amongst different governments around different countries around the world. Not here. You got all 7 Emirates, got all the leaders working together with a long-term plan, and they plan here 50 to 70 years in advance. I've never seen anything like it. And I thought, that's a place I want to be. And it's true. So I'm here to stay. I'm not putting a time frame on how long I'll be here for. At the moment, I'm absolutely loving it. I feel safe. I feel like I'm part of the community, and going back on and I'll double down on what I said, women over here have got the best safety in the world, and that to me is very important.
I'm entirely aligned with you, and that's a beautiful message you've delivered. I think for those of us who did stay throughout the war, it was a period of solidarity.
Yes.
It gave us all the chance to, give back, in a sense, to the country that's given us so much in terms of safety, in terms of various opportunities across our lifetimes. And the period of time we've been living here, which, like I say, is 3/4 of my life.
Yes.
So, yeah, fully aligned with you. And I've grown up here watching this city collect industries, finance, tech, various others.
Yep.
Now, potentially cricket. As you've put it, Dubai is going to be the hub of cricket, if it's not already. What has to be true by, call it 2029, for that to be true? And what would you say is the biggest impediment to Dubai becoming the global cricket hub?
Well, I think you can see straight away that, the biggest or the powerhouse of cricket is India, of course. And, there's no better game of cricket when India play Pakistan. And unfortunately, those two teams and those two countries can't tour each other's country at the moment. I wish it could, right? And that's the thing. When you get to the UAE, every culture gets on. And I've got so many Indian friends. I've got so many Pakistani friends. I don't discriminate. I don't say I'm not going to catch up with him on this day and not invite him, because over here, everyone just gets on. And I love that. I love the unity across every nationality, that everyone gets on. And it's this sort of, it's almost like this unwritten rule that when you come to the UAE, certainly here in Dubai, that's what happens. So it blows my mind why that can't happen around the world. That's another story. But in terms of cricket, that's why I think, because India will play a lot of games here, and where India play cricket is obviously where you see all the biggest names, and that's where you see all the biggest media, and that's where you see all the biggest views and TV rights and what have you. But I think the technology over here, the infrastructure, the ability to see the game grow, I would love a lot more of the local Emiratis to get involved in cricket, and I actually want to help with that. I think there's a lot of young talent here that will blossom with some coaching and with some help in place. So Dubai has gone from being the stepping stone to get somewhere else in the world. This will be the place, and trust me, come September, this place is going to be absolutely going berserk. This place will be, there'll be people coming everywhere. So the opportunity for people to come into the UAE to experience what the life is like come September, it'll be as busy as. So get ready. This is going to be an exciting time before Christmas. The place will be packed. It's going to be hard to get a hotel room, be hard to get a place at a nice dinner spot, because people will be coming over here in tens of thousands and visiting and seeing what the whole vibe is about. Because when you come here, you don't have to go anywhere else. And that's the thing we notice. Like, there's parts of this place where you can feel like you're in Greece. Other parts, you can feel like you're in Italy. Other parts, you sort of go out and you do those desert stays, which we've done. And it just gets you away from the hustle and bustle. My kids learn how to ski in Dubai. How many other countries can say that? Learn how to ski in a desert. But they did. And yeah, it's endless. The thing with the UAE and the thing with Dubai is that anything is possible. If you have a dream or you have a vision, the visions here don't get crushed like sometimes in some other places around the world. So that's why I think, and I know it's going to be the hub, certainly of cricket, but AI, rest of the world, business, opportunities, and people generally want people to succeed here. And that's a difference that I've found to anywhere else in the world.
Have you seen the word that was very recently added to the dictionary, Dubai it?
Dubai, yeah. Yeah, it's spot on. Because it's possible. And you can put as many words behind that as much as you want. But if you have a dream and if you want to achieve something in life, as I said in my previous answer, it is totally possible. Totally possible.
I have a few quick fire questions for you before we wrap up. Is it true the Australian Liberal Party asked you to run for Parliament in 2019?
Oh, there was a couple of questions floating around, yeah, but I declined politely.
One delivery from your career to bowl again. Which?
Gosh. Probably my first ball in Test cricket because it just felt so special.
The bass or the new ball? Which one for the rest of your life?
Bass now because it doesn't hurt to play the bass. Hurts to bowl.
Face your own bowling at your peak. Score or duck?
Score or duck?
Yeah.
Probably face myself at my peak because I know where the ball's going. I'd probably score a duck as well. Kill two birds with one stone.
Can't doubt that logic. What's your advice to someone out there who's being written off the same way you were multiple times throughout your career? Now, that's not specific to sports.
Yeah.
It's definitely applicable. But to anyone out there who's being written off.
Back yourself. Do what feels right. And if you can find a job that you love, it doesn't become a job. Simple as that. And get that fire inside your belly. And you've got to compartmentalize and teach yourself that it's okay sometimes to feel down. It's okay sometimes to feel very happy. But get that emotional wave and ride it. Don't be too up and too down. And if you can do that through your life, then it doesn't matter what people say then. You know what you want to do in life. Find out what you want to do in life and be laser focused. So when someone's chirping you or they're throwing things at you and they might be saying that you're not good enough, you're going to get sacked, you're going to get dropped, who cares what people think? You go out there, you put your heart to it and try your best.
You've been very vocal in this podcast about the importance of honesty, virtue, and several other characteristics. If there is one characteristic you could instill in each and every one of your children, what would it be?
I'd have a few. I would have determination. I think it's very important. Manners. You've got lovely manners, so your parents have done a great job in bringing you up. Honesty. I think also being vulnerable sometimes. So I want my kids to be able to feel like they can work as hard as they possibly can. And regardless of what the result is at the end of the day, as long as they work super hard, that's good enough. Being honest with each other. So when you're not having a good time or you're not feeling 100%, tell someone. Be honest about it. Loyalty. Always be loyal to people and treat people the way that you want to be treated. And then the last thing would be have fun. You know, everyone's doing this for the first time. You know, as a parent, I'm doing it for the first time. As living this life, I'm doing it for the first time. So let's have fun doing it. Don't take yourself too seriously.
And following up from your previous point, it's a very well-renowned adage. If you do what you love every day, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly. And how good is that?
Yeah.
Have fun, enjoy life, and be respectful to people.
Before we wrap up, my final question to you today, I'm going to flip the script. As opposed to following the newly established tradition,
Okay.
I have a request rather than a question.
Okay.
Throughout this episode, you've enlightened us on what it took to become Brett Lee and the man you are today. I'd like to hear the story from the person who faced the ball coming at them at 160 kilometers an hour, standing in front of the stumps. If there was one person that you could introduce me to bring on the podcast, who would it be? A man that needs no introduction, such as yourself.
Gosh, who would I invite on? Or
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Who would I think you should have on? Look, there are so many players I've been lucky to play against. One guy who I think you'd find very interesting will be Shane Watson. And I've been teammates with him for many, many years. We've shared success together. We both love music. He's very articulate. He's not just a cricketer. And that's the thing, like, people just put you in a box or a pigeonhole and say that you're just a cricketer. Well, I've got so many other interests, which we haven't even gone into, but like Shane Watson. So I'll nominate Shane Watson.
Perfect. Thank you. And touching on your point about not limiting yourself, having these limiting beliefs and defining yourself as a bowler or a batsman or anything in life, a podcaster. There's a video, I'm not sure if you've seen, which went viral years back. So there's an ant which is confined inside a biro, inside a circle which is drawn with a biro, and it continuously looks for the exit and has a limiting belief, which is that it cannot cross the boundary of the circle. And that's until the person who produced and published the video draws more and more circles closer and closer to the ant, which leads to it continuously progressing forward until it realizes that it could actually run past and run over that boundary, which is essentially the ant eliminating these limiting beliefs that I think we all fall under, that we all fall victim to on a daily basis. Yeah. Would you say that summarizes your message? Yeah,
well, and that's the thing, and I think what that replicates very simply and very quickly is that the ant was told that it can't go outside that barrier where it probably didn't even try. So don't let someone tell you can't achieve something or can't do something. Smash through that barrier. And you have to fail. You do have to fail. So if you're going to bounce off that wall, well, maybe that's not the right way to go. Try something different. But don't let someone tell you that you can't achieve it. So I would say push those boundaries because you have to find where that ceiling is and enjoy doing it, because when you're on that journey and you trick your brain and you tell yourself that you can do it, and when you actually achieve it, it feels, it's the best feeling in the world. It truly is.
It's a beautiful message you've left us with today. Thank you for your time today, Brett. Thank you for doing this once again.
Well done. Pleasure. Great to be on.
Thank you all for listening.